Shalom, Yashala, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh. I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Yashar Allah. Call Haloyim La, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Harakakodash, for blessing our elders with the spirit of truth so that we may know. Shout out to the Akim and the Akwa that's keeping the faith in the work. Y'all keep at it. It's your brother Abaya coming at you with more precepts. It's Galatians chapter 6 and verse 7. Be not deceived. Power is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. In the NLT it reads, don't be misled. You cannot mock the justice of God. You will always harvest what you plant. Right? And what did this devil plant in the earth? 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Hamashiach is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Right? So that reaping can't happen until the son of perdition, that man of sin, be revealed. In the NLT, it reads, don't be fooled by what they say, for that day will not come until there is a great rebellion against God, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the one who brings destruction. Right? The one who brings destruction. That's what this devil sowed, destruction upon this earth. So therefore the Lord says, since you sowed destruction, you got to reap destruction. Right? Ezekiel 35 and verse 5. Actually, I'm starting from the top. It says, moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it. Right? Mount Seir representing Esau Edom, right? The man of sin, the son of perdition. Perdition meaning destruction. And say unto it, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. Right? In the NLT it reads, give them this message from the sovereign Yahweh. I am your enemy, O Mount Seir, and I will raise my fist against you to destroy you completely. Why? Because you sowed destruction. More so, you sowed destruction against the Lord's people and land. Right? Verse 4, it says, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Right? Which, going into the extension of us on that falling away. Right? That falling away, is more so speaking about 70 AD, but it rolled all the way down, until us coming into the daughter of Babylon. It's only recently that the Lord is putting the spirit back into his men, like going into the prophecy of the valley of dry bones in Ezekiel 37, right? To, bring us out of that calamity state, right? More so going into the time of Abba Bibbins, right? And the time of our calamity having an end, right? But this devil didn't ease up on the persecution. He didn't ease up on the destruction. He just got more clever, even to this day, right? That's why Revelation 13 speaks how he speaks. That's why Isaiah 63. I want to say Isaiah 63. Let me see. Come on, Isaiah 63 speaks how it speaks. Isaiah 63 and 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. Right? In the NLT, verse 4 reads, for the time has come for me to avenge my people, to ransom them from their oppressors. So what does that mean? All the way up until the time that Yahushua returns, we will be oppressed. He is the only one that is going to stop the oppression by force. Right? The reason why I'm bringing this out is because a video I saw about reparations being paid to slave owners, not the slaves, which are our forefathers. Reparations being paid to slave owners all the way up until 2015. Ain't that something? Up until 2015, and I want to say in the UK, them devils was getting paid because they could no longer have us in chains. They received reparations. We did not. Let this video play. I'll be back.
When slavery officially ended, it was the plantation owners that were compensated. And I think that they've let the problem get so big now that it is complicated in a sense of who should get paid, and it is complicated in a sense of who should pay. Because just like when there's instances of police brutality where people then settle, whether, in court, out of court, or whatever, it's actually the taxpayer, not the police union, that pays that money. So you partially paid yourself back for getting your ass whooped in the street.
Growing up in England and understanding that the slave owners were paid up until 2015 to give up slavery. Did you realize that? That was still being paid in England up until 2015. And so the discussion about reparations that's going on now kind of makes me smile and not that people don't realize that we had to pay for that. And now we're asking to be brought on the same level.
I feel like when...
Alright, so I asked AI or Google, right? Were slave owners paid reparations? Yes. Slave owners received reparations in several contexts, while enslaved people generally did not. In the U.S., the 1862 District of Columbia Compensated Emancipation Act paid Union loyal owners up to $300 for each enslaved person freed. Globally, Britain paid 20 million, I think that's euros, 40% of its treasury budget in 1833 to compensate slaveholders, and France forced Haiti to pay compensation to French slave owners. Ain't that something? Not the slaves, but the slave owners, right? Key facts on slave owner compensation. And you see how he tried to word it like, well, this happened in 1833. And it went from 18, it may have started in 1833 and went on, right? But nevertheless, U.S. federal compensation in 1862, owners in D.C. were compensated for emancipated slaves. Civil War payments, Congress created a commission to pay up to $300 per slave for loyal owners in slave states whose enslaved people enlisted or were drafted into the Union Army. International examples: when Britain abolished slavery in its colonies in 1833, it paid $20 million, equivalent to nearly $20 billion in 2021, to slave owners. That is crazy work. Not the enslaved, right? Hey, so I'm guessing you could say that 300 is more so like 300,000, right? It says, Haiti was forced to pay 150 million francs, later reduced to France to compensate for lost property. Return land. Following the Civil War, President Andrew Johnson reversed the 40 acres and a mule promise. Who was that promised to? So-called blacks. All right. It says Special Field Orders number 15, returning land in the South to former Confederate owners. Conversely, the formerly enslaved were not compensated for their forced labor, torture, or stolen generations. All right? And those are the facts. Let's see.
Weren't a victim, you pretend and masquerade to be. And that's what we're sick of.
No, I don't.
Yes.
I don't pretend to masquerade
in fact,
shit.
black Americans receive 25% of the welfare. That 1/3 of them go to prison. Isn't that reparations? They're getting stuff paid.
How is prison reparations?
Well,
What the fuck
let's
did
see.
you just say?
A prisoner,
Say that again?
a prisoner on average is $80,000 a year to the taxpayer. Sounds like reparations to me. 3 years, that's over $250K.
So locking up black people is a form of reparations. You really gonna say that shit on a national platform with 12 million?
No, what I'm
subscribers? Are
saying
you
is
fucking
one in
insane?
three. What I'm saying is 1 in 3 black men end up in prison.
Is that reparations though, or is that proof
If
of
the
or is that further
taxpayer-
proof that black people are victims of the very same government that you're saying is not oppressive?
Hello again, you're a victim.
No, historically, so can we fact check this, please? Who
do you
has a
wanna
higher
fact check?
who has a higher conviction rate for false crimes, blacks or whites? Now that's something we can fact
Probably
check.
whites.
I'll fact check it.
Please.
Who has a higher conviction rate?
That's not-
for
that's-
false crimes, black or white people? Let's see this. You think it's
Who's
whites?
more falsely convicted? That would be the
Falsely
right
convicted, probably blacks.
one. And they're falsely convicted and thrown in jail, which proves
Black
this.
people are 7 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of murder
Oh,
than white
shit.
people.
And I just said that, right?
Well, zippity do fucking da. So
And-
now, that's a current piece of where black brothers and sisters are still victims of a racially systemic society.
So-
a racially
so-
sick society.
So you think it's all racists' fault for locking up black people? There's nothing on the black population for committing crimes.
There's a lot on the black.
Why does 6% of the nation, because 13% are black Americans, 6% are male, commit 50% of the violent crimes?
And the pride of this devil to look this man dead in his eyes and say this with no fear. Right, to boldly say that nonsense. That man said welfare in prison is reparations for so-called blacks. And his reasoning is in so-called prison, you don't pay for a place to stay. You don't pay for a meal. You can go to college for free and learn a trade for free, but you're in prison. Right? These are the people that are ruling this earth, man. The people that paid the slave owners reparations in cash in some parts of this world all the way up until 2015. They're probably still doing it to this day. That's just what they say. And they also believe that welfare and prison equate reparations for the descendants of the enslaved people. Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, right? You so-called blacks, so-called Hispanics, so-called Latinos, right? And all our brethren around the world, our so-called Seminole Indians, so-called Native American Indians, right? I said all our brethren around the world, all the so-called Negro descent. Saying about black or white. You have some so-called whites that actually stem from so-called blacks. Some so-called blacks that actually stem from so-called whites, right? You have to constantly reiterate this because the narrative of a quote-unquote black Israelite is constantly floating in this world, right? And it's so much deeper than that. Nevertheless, Joel 3:1 again. For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh's decision, Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. In the NLT it reads, at the time of those events, saith Yahweh, when I restore the prosperity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will gather the armies of the world into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Therefore, I will judge them for harming my people, my special possessions, for scattering my people among the nations, and for dividing up my land. Verse 3, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for Yahweh has spoken it. Oh, we going to get our reparations. You got to worry about it. I ain't looking for a check from this place, right? We going to get ours. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For as a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Call Elohim La Yahweh Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai Ba Hashem Harakak Udah Shalom Yasha Allah Wa Abba Abba.